Before the mid-1990s, 400 horsepower was enough to claim the supercar crown. But then, the target moved to the 500 horsepower mark, forcing automakers to push beyond traditional supercars and build something entirely new. This chart shows the steep vertical spike in horsepower required to stay competitive. The standard set in the 1980s by cars like the F40 was suddenly obsolete. Three primary contenders stepped up to chase this new benchmark: the Ferrari F50, the Jaguar XJ220, and the Lamborghini Diablo. But hitting 500 horsepower with 1990s technology meant automakers had to force the issue. Without modern software or hybrid electric assist, they had to make extreme, physical compromises that left each car with glaring flaws. Evaluating these cars for a modern collection requires stripping away the childhood nostalgia. Success here depends on which specific flavor of physical sacrifice you are actually willing to live with. Ferrari's approach was literal. They wanted to deliver an uncompromised Formula One experience for the street. To do that, they took a 4.7-liter V12 derived from their racing program and bolted it, along with the suspension, directly to the carbon fiber tub. No rubber vibration isolators, metal directly to carbon. The result is extreme chassis rigidity. The car gives you scalpel-like precision and race car-level cornering telemetry straight to your hands. But that direct mounting transfers every violent vibration, massive amounts of heat, and deafening mechanical noise directly into your spine. Taking the F50 on a casual drive is an exhausting, physically punishing experience. The engine itself is naturally aspirated and pushed to an 8,500 RPM redline to squeeze out 520 horsepower. Keep it high in the rev range, and the throttle response is instantaneous. This line chart compares the torque delivery curves of the F50 against its turbocharged predecessor, the F40. Notice the F50's curve. It doesn't hit its peak torque of 347 pound-feet until a very high 6,500 RPM. Off the starting line, it feels surprisingly sluggish. The F50 is a blue-chip track weapon. You are sacrificing all grand touring comfort for absolute aerodynamic and structural purity. Jaguar originally promised buyers an all-wheel drive V12 supercar. Because of mounting costs and strict emissions, they delivered a rear-wheel drive car powered by a twin-turbo V6. That lighter V6 did the job. It generated a brutal 540 horsepower and unlocked a verified 217 mph top speed. But that power delivery came with a serious penalty. Massive turbo lag leaves the car feeling completely dead at low RPMs, right up until the turbo spool and violently surge the car forward. This diagram shows the XJ220 scaled next to a standard 1990 supercar. To hit over 200 miles per hour, Jaguar had to stretch the body into an intensely low-drag, elongated teardrop, pushing the car to a massive 194 inches in length. While that aero-focused shape is incredibly stable at top speed, it makes low-speed maneuverability dreadful. Paired at size with heavy, unassisted steering, and navigating tight corners is a chore. The XJ220 is a historical anomaly. It traded everyday drivability and multi-cylinder prestige specifically to win the ultimate aerodynamic top speed war. Lamborghini ignored the Formula One tubs and radical aerodynamic experiments. They relied entirely on sheer brute force. Powered by a massive 5.7-liter V12, the Diablo outputs 530 horsepower. It provides immense, accessible mid-range torque, which actually makes it much easier to keep in the power band than the F50 or the XJ220. But that brute force relies on older-school analog architecture. Instead of lightweight carbon composites, you get a heavy chassis and heavy all-wheel drive systems. That massive footprint and engine placement force a major compromise on the driver. The chassis is incredibly wide, and it suffers from a terrifying lack of rearward visibility. Because it lacked bespoke icing technology, the Diablo's original cost was much lower than the Ferrari. Today, it remains a significantly lower entry point into 90s hypercar ownership. It offers reliable, torque-rich V12 thrills, but you are trading track-level scalpel precision for heavy, blunt force trauma. This quadrant chart helps us map these cars based on driving dynamics and power delivery. Because 1990s technology required extreme compromises to hit 500 horsepower,
The right investment depends entirely on which flaw you are willing to tolerate. If you are an eccentric top-speed chaser who values historical anomalies, and you don't mind massive turbo lag and an unwieldy footprint, the Jaguar XJ220 sits right here. The Ferrari F50 plots over here for the track purist and blue-chip investor. You demand peerless handling and F1 pedigree, and you will pay a premium to be physically punished on public roads. And the Lamborghini Diablo belongs to the visceral pragmatist. You want torque-rich thrills and iconic 90s aesthetics at a fraction of the price, so long as you accept its lack of track precision. These cars prove that the most memorable analog driving experiences are built on the back of visionary, beautifully flawed engineering sacrifices.